Let's take a look at some information and charts on basic attention token for BraveNewCoin. So BAT was originally created as a token to incentivize direct sort of peer-to-peer advertising, Patreon style, an alternative to ads. Now they have an ad viewing option on the browser that you can get paid for, basically. The idea was to give users back privacy, give users back their data, ensure that users are being paid for their data appropriately. Love the idea. Browser's great. Browser's popular. People love the browser. It's the details of the token that are a bit problematic, especially when it comes to using the token as an ERC20 on the Ethereum network for microtransactions, which basically isn't possible anymore. The peer-to-peer element also initially may have been slightly too rosy in that you need a KYC AML account, I believe, to collect your BAT rewards as a creator or publisher on BAT. BAT recently announced Brave recently announced a search, private search. They had been using DuckDuckGo previously. I don't know if this is integrated with that or not, but it's an alternative to Google. Obviously, all of this stuff is an alternative to Google, Chrome, Firefox. In the browser wars, user growth, impressive, just continuing to uptick here. 36 million monthly active users, great for the browser. Token, I guess, as a side effect, hopefully the Brave people encourage the use of the BAT token. I don't know what goes through their mind, but it's very easy to see the growth with the browser. Whether or not that actually translates into an uptick in BAT pricing, I'm not so sure. They're also still updating BAT, Brave. This is nonstop. They definitely are continuing to develop. They even have a swap function, DEX function, DEX aggregation, Gemini, Binance integration. I mean, they're going full crypto, which is good. That's what any crypto adjacent or crypto related company should be doing. They're also implementing an NFT gallery of sorts. So all sorts of stuff coming to the browser, which on Google Trends is still, again, this is just me echoing the numbers of the monthly active users. Interest over time on Google Trends, just cruising at all-time highs still. So more and more people are finding Brave in some capacity. The token, however, does not share that same Google trend enthusiasm. It is in an uptick currently, but over the past 5 years, it really hasn't had much. 4 years hasn't had much excitement or extended excitement. There was some excitement along with everything else earlier this year, but to me, this is speculative and short-lasting because ultimately the utility of the token is a bit problematic. Let me break that down for you as somebody who is a registered Brave creator, okay? So Brave will send you whatever per month. And like I already said, they need to send it to a KYC'd account, I believe. I believe that's still the case. For me, that's Uphold. So I get Brave either as a promo from Brave or tips from people. Most users and creators have Brave-related optionality for tipping. There's also a 5% fee on top of that. And at the end of the day, they end up taking, looks like they took 10% here. So I get 10% on my fees and they send it to Uphold. Uphold then sends it through their reserve chain system to me. This was just the most recent transaction. What is reserve chain? Well, reserve chain is basically their ledger in the back end because Brave can't really send it to ETH addresses anymore. Partially KYC related, mainly fee related. I mean, I don't know. I guess that was the dream in the beginning. The whole reason why they had to do an ICO and raise $35 million is because they couldn't do this on Bitcoin because Bitcoin was prohibitively expensive for microtransactions. Okay, well, I guess the alternative at the time was ETH, and that seems to be not working out so well, maybe as initially envisioned. For me, I'd much rather this just be BTC or a stablecoin, right? I'd rather not go through all this rigmarole of getting sent something through Uphold and then having to sell it to BTC. And then if I want to withdraw anything through Uphold, it's currently a like $31 fee to actually withdraw anything through Ethereum, right? So it's just not feasible to me to actually use this as intended. And it just kind of lives in limbo between Brave and whatever your KYC account might be. I don't know if they can send this to Coinbase now, probably, but it's a very weird system. It's not exactly crypto as crypto was meant to be. Does it work for some people? Maybe. I don't really know too many people who get tons of money through this. But if I'm just going through explaining this to somebody, it's just like, wow, like what's the point? They are continuing to have some sort of buyback type program, promo type program for onboarding users, downloading the browser itself. Verified publishers continue to grow. That hasn't slowed down. The normal website I look at these numbers is currently not working, batgrowth.com. But you can see those numbers here. Most of it's on YouTube and Twitter. YouTube and Twitch to me are the two biggest use cases for something like Brave, where they have ads. It's a competitor to Patreon as well, because you can set up recurring tipping basically to creators directly. So the idea is great. The actual functionality in the back end, not so much. And if we look at transaction counts on chain for BAT, they've continued to decline since earlier in the year. And I expect this to just remain low as long as ETH fees are as high as they are. It just doesn't make sense to send microtransactions, right? You just can't. You really can't. It's a negative value transaction at that point. So all of this to me is probably payout rewards monthly previously from Brave themselves. There's just not a lot of transactional activity go on, microtransactions, and that's more evident even when you look at the mean transaction sizes, which are quite high for something that's supposed to be encouraging microtransactions. So, I think they meant well in the beginning. I think they sort of massaged the narrative to allow people to accept the ICO for what it was, but it's certainly shifted over time as far as what's actually happening with the token. Active addresses down as well to multi-year lows. Unsurprising considering just too expensive to transact. I mean, if I have BAT anywhere, I either sell it to BTC or it just sits there. It doesn't do anything, right? NVT is flat and near all-time lows. Doesn't quite exactly look like a buy to me based on that. And MVRV, which normally tops out for most coins at around a 2x multiple, meaning the market cap is 2 times greater than on-chain activity. Looks to be the case for BAT as well. In April, we hit a 2x multiple on MVRV, and that basically was the top. So going forward, if this thing reaches near 2, it's beginning to look more and more overbought. Anything past 2 on MVRV. So if I'm bullish BAT in the next 3 months, I would be watching this chart along with technicals, right? My complaining and moaning about the transactional activity of on-chain stuff with BAT is kind of meaningless relative to price, honestly, because fundamentals are so divorced from technicals. It's not even funny at this point with crypto. It's just when you dig deep into this stuff, it's like, oh, okay, it had a vision, it had a purpose, has a use case, but that's not really how it's functioning, at least in my opinion. BAT also has a Grayscale trust, the smallest Grayscale trust, but it is there. Why it exists there, I don't know. It also exists on all the lending and borrowing platforms and DeFi. Bit weird, but it is what it is. Flipping gears to technicals, 5,200 cross, yearly pivots, VPVR, volume, RSI. So RSI did have a bit of a bearish divergence on those 3 highs there, pulled back along with everything else, 20%, whatever it was, yesterday. So now things still look bullish. Things have mean reverted back to the 50 and the 200 EMAs. And in general, I don't expect trends to just flip bearish here across the board. So as long as the 5,200 holds, as long as this remains ranging, I don't think anything's at risk for a mega bearish trend in the near term. Anything below 60 would be troublesome, 60 cents. And then anything below 50 cents or the current local low would definitely be a watch out. And that's significantly lower. So this has plenty of room to just chop around. But I think by the end of the year, this thing probably retests all-time highs based on the entire market just being so bullish right now. Daily Cloud, it was working on an edge-to-edge move, almost hit that other edge, probably did it with a wick to like $1.05 or whatever that is up there. But basically when price enters the cloud, the expectation is that it will eventually reach the other edge. When the cloud looks like this, when it's thick and has a flat top, I usually don't expect bullish continuation. Here, we had a similar thing and it kind of waited until it was through a very narrow, thin cloud. This is like super nuanced and subjective, I know, but this thing chopped around for many months and then finally took off in Q1. We may see that again. Q4 may just be chop around the cloud, do a bunch of nothing, and then take off in Q1. I don't necessarily expect that again, but if it's just dependent on the market as a whole, BAT will move with everything else. If everything else is bullish, BAT's going to move through the cloud. At that point, it's just a matter of where you want your money, where you want your capital located, rotating in and out of stuff effectively. Not everything's going to pull a Solana and be up 10x in a month, right? This moved from a quarter to $1.25 in 3 months. So that's 4x, 5x. 4x, 5x from here, maybe $4, $5, right? Like, I don't know. If things get super insane, certainly possible. Something else that I didn't talk about, but you'd want to think about with BAT is the circulating supply. Who's selling what and when? The higher this goes, the more likely people who've been holding for a long time will start selling. So that's important to just pay attention to in the periphery. But as far as speculative potential, if a 4x, let's say a 2x even to $2 is in the cards, right? You'll see that first on the cloud. You'll see prices just like they were in January, February above the cloud. That'll be a first sign for bullish continuation potential. BAT BTC, not really much to say. I mean, it historically has just ranged and done a bunch of nothing against BTC. The big level here is on volume, pretty evident at 2350. I'd say 2K to 3K sats is a nothing zone. I wouldn't expect anything meaningful, but once it gets above 3K sats, then it's game on. And that'll be pretty obvious just based on volumes, based on price, based on yearly pivots. It's all saying the same type of thing. Anything below 3K is just an avoid for me if I was trading this directly. And anything above 3K sats, you should see a pretty decent bullish move. Against ETH, again, the level to watch is pretty apparent based on VPVR and previous sort of head and shoulders breakdown level. Anything between 71K and 95K, whatever this is, against ETH is the level to watch. This could, Adam and Eve, there is a bullish div here growing, but again, you'll notice that as it's happening, most likely. So the first step is to finally have some bullish anything here and sort of round this out back to 71K. And if that is the case, that is a decent trade from here to 71K against ETH. So it depends how aggressive you want to take this if you're trading this. But first steps I'd watch for is just bullish momentum to be present. Currently it's just breaking lows every other week. So that's the first step. And then completing this Adam and Eve, certainly possible. And then breaking up from there. Lastly, I'll just mention the ETHBTC fund and DeFi portfolio I trade for Techme Capital on Enzyme.finance, a non-custodial portfolio management tool where you can send ETH or USDC or just watch what I'm doing. You can see everything, including AUM, performance allocation, all of the Yearn, Comp, and Aave plays I'm in to collect yield, as well as all the trades in the tab down below. That's all for this one. Like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, and happy trading.